Game loaded.
Podcast with myself and Chapamon. I hope you're having a great 2018. And tonight's we're going to talk a little bit about news, but of course, news of the week, which isn't there isn't much. And then we're going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to Mr. Chapamon's heart, which is bargain hunting for games on Target and other stores. And even there, you find the pre-order bonus. So we're going to be talking about those things. A couple of news first, most of them from the Jimquisition, Jim Sterling. Basically, there was a Deus Ex Human Revolution style upgrade your pre-order bonus nonsense as being part of the Sword Art Online, which is the MMO of a Japanese MMO I believe by Capcom, of a Japanese anime about you being stuck in an MMO.
Yeah, that's actually by a
Bandai
Namco.
Yeah. And that's a thing where if you guys remember back in the day with Deus Ex Human Revolution, it was, hey, the more you spend, get people to get pre-order, the more bonuses you get. So it basically turned the whole pre-order business into a pyramid scheme, which is, the whole pre-order thing is just bad enough. And then you got a pyramid scheme on top of it. It's like, I mean, yes, there's things that are worse. But people are going to say Battlefront, and oh, by the way, Battlefront. But still, it's like, I mean, that's the thing about the slippery slope, right? It's like, and I made a video about this, it's like, the thing about microtransactions and things about the current business model is that it's just a slush gate. It's just the slush gates are open and this stuff just keeps pouring out. And once it becomes acceptable or somewhat acceptable, they're going to keep on doing it. So there's no reason. Well, the only reason for this is money. How much money? Yeah, that's all the reason.
Yeah, there's no benefit for the player at all. So I just can't believe that this is a thing. Like in this day and age, after that backlash that Square Enix got.
Well, I think this is probably for the Asian market, particularly Japanese market, and they're more forgiving of these things over there. South Korea, China, Japan, not the same, of course, different nations, different countries. But they're more forgiving in the Eastern market or markets. There are more than one. And so I said, well, I think most Western players wouldn't probably be in this MMO anyway. Mostly Japanese MMO, probably localized Chinese, localized Korean, probably localized, English, American English, and other languages. But that's the main focus. So, and free to play has been around MMOs now for more than 10 years. That's the way to go. So these things are just part and parcel of that happening. This is like, and it's another Japanese company because the people behind Deus Ex Human Revolution, it's Square Enix ultimately, right? So they're the ones who push for that, for the whole, pre-order bonus, as well as adding a microtransaction
element
thing to it, which was his own. The way they want, Eidos Montreal did it was like, okay, we're gonna make an own play mode that has microtransactions, but really has nothing really to do with the rest of the game. At least they can't be accused of breaking the game by having microtransactions.
Well, actually, they kind of did because they also included buying pretty much skill points with microtransactions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but as of this day, as of recording, it seems like that the Sword Art Online is up to 66% to its first reward tier, which I'm kind of surprised it's managed to get that far. But as you said, it probably is. This game's probably going to be popular in the Asian market.
And also, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the way the old Facebook games used to work, right? oh, look, your friend is playing Carnival. Your friend is playing, Magic Swords Online. It's like, okay, so you jump in and they were just clickers, right?
Yep.
And the more you play them, the more it sent annoying messages to your friends who stopped being your friends because it was like, dude, I'm just getting spam from you. And I was like, well, I'm not really sending the spam. It's just that the game asked me to, through the contact list of Facebook, and it's like Facebook's fault to the point that Facebook says, you know what, screw it. We're done. We're not. They literally, I think, just delisted a bunch of people. Like if you didn't play for like a week or so, it just automatically got dropped.
Yeah.
Just so they could clear the spam filters. It's like, yeah, we can't handle this anymore. And those things were run by microtransactions. Like, oh, get $10,000 on this crime-based game, or 500 million pieces of gold, for like $5 or something. So again, it's that kind of thing. It's all part of the business, whether it's mobile or indie game. Not so much indie games, but they have their examples as well. And now, of course, mainstream gaming across the board. So it's a thing,
Yep.
and not a good thing. What was the other piece of news that our friend Jimmy, friend of the show, um,
The the article on player engagement with
mhm.
how to
Uh,
retain players and try to get them to spend more money on microtransactions.
yeah, this is Electronics Arts' version of this. You might recall that in the waning days of 2017, news out of Activision that they had patented a version of a sort of matchmaking, microtransaction selling matchmaking. That is, they would try to match players who had certain items that they bought with lower skill players, so
Yeah.
that when they lost, they say, "Oh, even though the items themselves were cosmetic, it would give you the impression that winners own flaming skull caps. So, of course, you want your flaming skull caps because winners get flaming skull caps or golden guns or whatever, right? And you want to win, so it's like I want to have the thing that guy has, so or that guy, whoever's playing, right? So now it's EA's version of this. A series of documents came on, basically talking about engaging players by manipulating matchmaking, like taking matchmaking completely away from both the players um, and any sense of logic or fairness, like matchmaking people with similar skills, although matchmaking is never perfect, and deliberately skewing it so that at times you would have a winning streak, so you keep playing, right?
Yep.
And then if you win too much, then we get you to lose, right? And then, in other words, matching you with people that clearly are your inferiors, but not by too much. And I can see, because this is stuff that is not copyrighted, that if Activision were to implement their systems and EA were to implement their system, eventually one or the other or any other company would say, well, why don't we have both? Why don't we match
Hmm.
people both by the items they buy as well as by how long we can retain them? Because the word is, I used the word before, it's engagement. The more engagement, the more you're invested in the game, the more likely you're going to buy products from them, right? I mean, also talking about Overwatch as well. They talk about Activision. Jim talked about that as well, and tokens, so they could finance their tournament play of Overwatch. And like, which is this? By the way, the reason is this sort of like, this is just insane, is that it's designed as advertising, because that's what tournaments are, right? Advertising for Overwatch. So you're paying microtransactions to fund a tournament by Blizzard. We're not a third party. We're not talking about, okay, donate to a third party, then they're gonna set up like tournament play. It's Blizzard Entertainment is going to set up tournaments for their game for the express purpose of advertising the game, so more people buy the game, and they're financing it through your microtransactions. I mean, it's genius. It's like,
Yeah.
in a way, the game sells itself. It auto finances itself and just in a way like what even it's genius, horrifyingly genius, but it is. And if you think about Overwatch, by the way, one of the things that's genius about Overwatch is like, oh, we're gonna give you free heroes. And it's like, oh wow, we don't have to pay for heroes. In other games, you have to pay for heroes. But the thing is that the heroes are there to sell you on the microtransactions. I said this before and I say it again. That's the thing about Overwatch. Oh, a new hero is coming out. So that means that new voice lines, new skins, new locations, all the things that they sell you are tied to the heroes. Oh, what do I main? I main Tracer, I main May or whatever, right? You're so attached to that character that you want everything about that character. That's what they're selling. Overwatch doesn't sell. That's why there's no story in Overwatch. All the story is outside of Overwatch because they're commercials for not the game, but the microtransactions. And now it's on full circle. It's like in fact, I could see if not Blizzard, which is also Activision, by the way, it's Activision Blizzard, coming up with a new game perhaps where you have free heroes but microtransactions, and depending on the micro and what you paid, you get put with someone with a lesser or higher level, so that you feel like you have to get that particular paint scheme in order to win games, and then the matchmaking is rigged in such a way that you have winning and losing, or it heightens. Not, I mean, it doesn't guarantee it. It can't guarantee unless you sort of take over the player completely.
Yeah.
So that it skews the numbers, right? Because there's all this is tracked. We talk about this as well, tracking. Always being online has the ability to track all these numbers, right?
Yep.
How much you play, what characters you use, what attacks, who do you play with, and the hours. All this is very important, very valuable information. So all this is coming together in one global scheme to sell you as much crap that you don't ultimately own as possible. So all this could come together, because this is what happens. People say, oh, you're complaining about something that's so minor. Like, this becomes standardized practice, which is also insidious. Like, well, everybody's doing it, so it's okay. It's like, it's not okay. Everybody's doing it. How do you think we got to the point where everybody started doing it? Because when it was just a few people, nobody said anything. And then it became standard. It's like, well, everybody's doing it, so I guess I just gotta. You don't want me not to play the game, right? It's like, yeah, and it's
Yeah, it's oh my god, it's almost like a snake eating its own tail, but somehow it keeps getting longer.
It's more like those in the winter, the snake pits, where all the snakes get together and to the writhing over for months and end, in hibernation, but they never get a hibernation. You simply have more snakes and more snakes and more snakes and just keep piling on. And by the way, people who don't have never owned a snake, snakes tend to lack odor until they go to the bathroom. Trust me, when you have dozens, hundreds of snakes together, it stinks.
Oof.
It's you think cat poop and cat pee smells bad? Have like 200 snakes in a rock pit.
Ew.
For a couple of like weeks or months of winter. It's not. It's the perfect analogy for the video game industry. It's not because it's poisonous or dangerous. It's because it's a snake pit that stinks and is ever growing. That's the perfect analysis for it. Which leads us to the perfect segue, because even in bargain bin sales and at Target, we still find these kind of tactics. So, Mr. Chapaman Aragon, would you please explain to our viewers what do I mean by that?
So, something I like to participate. It's something I've always done, but it's been kind of popularized by Lazy Game Reviewer over on YouTube. He does a segment where he goes to Goodwills and just any kind of secondhand stores and looks for computer parts, video games, you name it, any kind of tech stuff, tries to find a good bargain. I prefer to kind of check some, not just local used places, but I like to check bargain bins and find things brand new in the package. Like at Target, Target's my favorites. Walmart's, they tend not to have very much,
Mm-mm.
but Target's pretty big. And something I've been noticing a lot lately, especially during this holiday rush, is that I see more and more day one exclusive items for sale. Not just even in the bargain bins, but they're just on sale as the regular product. Special editions, deluxe editions, all of it just months, maybe even like a year past the game's release, just sitting there as just the regular product.
Hmm.
So, and I kind of found this fascinating. It's like, why are there so many like day one objects? Just you so most of these day one special editions are mostly made to try to hype players into pre-ordering games, buying it at launch. Right where these companies want their numbers to be high is the release, because this is going to show investors, hey, our games are selling, look how big, how much money we made. So that just kind of made me wonder if players are starting to catch on to these kind of tactics, and maybe, or if maybe even the gaming market's flooding a little too much on a pre-order culture or day one exclusive versions.
Well, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, let's talk about Target and Walmart and all that. They make these arrangements with these companies, right? Oh, you want to buy this copy from Walmart, then you get this gun or you get this vehicle, this skin or whatever it is that the bonus is, right? The idea is to encourage you. The idea from the video game publisher is to encourage the sale, the order, because not any pre-orders. There's nothing pre about it, really. It's just an order, and from the distributor, so that the game is get bought there, so that physical distribution is still viable. Even though most of the time now, especially most games and especially in PC, what you don't even buy a game. There's actually no physical game. They give you a Steam key or Origin key. So there's an
Yeah.
entire box, right? Even its entire box, you should. Well, if they're console games, usually there still is a disc. But PC games, if the few ones they have, they might be in a security box. Like, oh, well, somebody's gonna steal this, right? It's a piece of
Yeah.
card, you know. It's a code in a plastic card or something. You know, it's about
Yeah.
it's like $5 or something like that at most. Probably most of the money spent on the packaging anyway. You know, it's more expensive to package the security card in the security bin thing than in the actual making of the whole thing, right? And putting in and everything goes with it, right? And they want to recoup. They want to make sure that every time you go to the store, oh, listen, if you buy a thing at Target, look at all the games that still have these bonuses, because the one thing you don't want to do is sort of take away the bonus. I mean,
Mhm.
it's implied that the bonus is unique to pre-order, but it's a lie. It's a bonus for buying it on a given store. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's sold as a pre-order bonus, but it isn't. So the idea is, oh, okay, you know, um, let's keep this around as long as possible because the code is there. They're not trying to. I mean, these are, even if it's just codes in a box, we're talking about probably hundreds of thousands, millions of codes. And the one thing you don't want to do, and as anybody who has done IT will tell you, is you don't want to go, oh, these codes are outdated. Press a button, erase all of them, and then you realize you mistakenly erased all of the codes. So all of a sudden, your game that had this nifty thing that you bought, all of a sudden it's invalid, or cannot be replayed. It's like, oh, I can't play because there's no. What happened to the thing? Which you don't want to risk it, and it's seeming unnecessary. So you just keep it around. You know, it's like, you know, I think in purely digital distribution, it's easier to to repackage. Like Steam does all this all the time. They bundle thing. Like I think I discussed this last week. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I'm gonna something happened with me trying to play Mass Effect. I know we discussed it on Skype before, but I already had the game from Steam, like the first game, and you can buy Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2 on Steam. Mass Effect 3 you have to buy in Origin. Okay, fine. And you actually helped me find this stuff about. Now the DLC there was free DLC with it. Bring Down the Sky, which is part of the bundle. Like, and the few times I played it before, which is about 100 hours, so I played it quite a bit. I just had to go to the second screen and download it separately. It's a bit of a pain, but not much. This time around, I went in and tried to find the DLC, and I couldn't find it. Nowhere to be found on Steam. I'm like, okay, what happened here, right? So I went online, the Google searches, and this. You go to here, do that. In this gray page in the back of nowhere in the interwebs, I found the code, thanks to you and some other folks who helped me out. And I got it, I downloaded it, I got it to work eventually with the other mods, and fine. You can do that digitally, but the physical distribution, that plastic card is still out there. You would have to destroy the card to ensure that it, never gets used. Because you don't want to risk canceling it over here and then, something happening and somebody actually buying the card and then going home, well, like, hey, I wanted to, wait, it doesn't work. You sold me something and then I have to go back to the store. There's still the ties of physical distribution that keeps that alive. And also it plays to the lie of the whole pre-order things. Like, it's a lie. You're not really getting anything,
Yeah.
And the fact that many of these games end up in the bargain bin anyways means that they keep, if they run out, they'll order more, or they'll have them on the pipeline. And if they never do, and rarely they do, because most people buy digitally anyway, they're gonna end up, in the bargain bin. So,
oh yeah, like I'm trying to think of things that I've come across. I believe I came across a Uncharted 4 special edition or collector's edition box thing. Let's see, Agents of Mayhem, which is a newer game. I saw the day one. Oh, it comes with day one exclusive DLC skin stuff. It's down like $5 because no one ever played that game. Mankind Divided, I still see day one editions. At this point, I think it's just rarer to find like a regular edition of Mankind Divided. I actually picked up a Yakuza Kimigawa or whatever, the remake of the first Yakuza game. This one doesn't actually come with any DLC. I thought it was interesting. It actually comes with it's a special steel box edition. It comes with this fancy painted steel box cover. And sadly, there's like nothing inside of it other than just a disc. And there's like no even like, I thought it would come with at least some fancy little book or even just a small printout book of like art or something. Like, ooh, look at Japanese Yakuza art or something, or concept art. Nope, it's just a steel book. Apparently it was a pre-order. It was a pre-order bonus. But I'm almost suspicious that this isn't a pre-order bonus. I think that's just a flat out lie, because the Target that I went to, there were 30 of these, just all of them sitting in the clearance bin.
So that means that they order them. And
yeah.
I mean, if people pre-order them and then cancel them, I doubt it very much. People that pre-order, I mean, they're locked in. They're gonna buy it. You might find a used game in places where they do that, but Target doesn't do that. So it's like,
yeah, not anymore. They used to. They tried dipping their foot into used games, and I think didn't work out.
I think Walmart.
But yeah, that was. So that just makes me wonder if Sega just flat out lied about that being a pre-order bonus. And so, nope, those are all the physical copies.
And I think also there's another advantage of the Game of the Year edition, which used to be very popular back again, still around. I mean, these bundles are digitally they get rebundled, so they kind of have that game of the year thing, and you still see them a lot. But they used to be in the reason why they were released was, especially in retail, was to jack up the price again of the game, right? To be able, because one of the things that happen with retail is that prices go down very quickly, right? You start losing a lot of money very quickly. Also happens in digital as well. So having the Game of the Year edition was like, okay, we can still sell this game at $60+, right? But the problem is, and it's talking about, talked about whether or not people are getting tired, is that one of the things is that people are waiting, right? They're not pre-ordering, they're not buying on. I mean, I certainly am not buying, or rarely buy on release either. So I'm not a target about that. I probably can wait weeks or months. I mean, I got a lot of games on the winter sale, but some of those games are, years old, and some of them are more recent. But still, I got them because they were cheap and games that I want to play, not because they were new. I didn't get them because they were, brand hot new, right? And that means that a game, for somebody who's willing to wait, a Game of the Year edition is far more attractive than the game at release. And if you, again, we talked about a lot about microtransactions. If you don't own the game and you're not playing it, you're not, there's no reason for you to buy any microtransactions, because you're not participating in the ecosystem. You're not engaged. And when you get to the Game of the Year edition, it's 12 months after release. Right? That's a lot of time, and a lot of people potentially a lot of people who are not playing the game during those 10, 12, 15 months, etc. Right? You don't want that. But with the pre-order bonus still being something that is still active, like, well, maybe not this game, but the next game, if I want to buy it, I'll buy it at Target or Walmart or Steam or Amazon or wherever, and I'll have as good a pre-order bonus as this one. So it may not work this time around, but it works in the next time around. And also feels like you're always getting something a little bit more as well. That's the trick. Like, you're getting something more, which is not much of anything, really.
It's actually something I've kind of noticed is it seems like less games are actually calling themselves Game of the Year edition. Sometimes they'll just flat out call themselves or the complete editions, or the new phrase is the definitive editions.
Yeah, that's, I think, a wink and a nod of the fact that many games are not finished these days. That's another reason why people are exhausted. It's like, oh yeah, I pre-ordered this game and I had to wait hours to download it and then get a day one patch and this and that, and then it wasn't very stable, etc. But if I wait a couple of months, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe a year or so, I'll get the version 3.99 or something, and it'll be not complete. It'll have more features, something like that, unless they're buying them from Bethesda, in which case you're waiting for the modders to get around and mod the game, and Nexus mods or whatever, and then they'll get all the patches done, right? Either way, I love my Bethesda games, but they're far, far from perfect. I'll be the first one to slam against the wall when I have to, and I've done it in the past, and I'll continue to do so. I mean, having a wall with Fallout 4 right now, but talk about it, not a new game. But again, heavily modded. I wouldn't play the vanilla game, and heavily modded. I got it for about $20 with all the DLC. See, I'm the kind of person I'm a waiter. I wait, right? Unless it's something that I trust the company, and what I usually want to do is I don't pre-order. I have my eye on things. Like I have my eye on the new BattleTech game. That's because I had an interview with one of the designers for Hairbrain Schemes. I played all the Shadowrun games, and I love them, all of them, and they got progressively better. So they have a good track record with all FASA properties, at least the video game side of it. I'm looking forward to it, but I haven't pre-ordered, and I will not pre-order. I will probably buy it on release or in the release window. Probably buy it and I'll watch one or two reviews, or maybe send a message out to the guys at Hairbrain Studios like, hey, how's this game going? I'm gonna stream it. You know, I don't see what happened. I'll probably end up buying anyway because getting free stuff from people is it always puts an asterisk on everything.
Yeah.
And the other one is Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition, which is a game I already own, played a ton of it. I just want the Enhanced Edition, right? And the other one I think is Monster Hunter, which I saw the the alpha for it, and I again saw another game called Kingmaker, an alpha for it, which is it looks good for what it is. And I saw someone, in this case was Adam Coble on his channel, play it, someone I trust. But even then, I'm not gonna pre-order. I just have my eye on it, right? And if it doesn't, if for some reason I find that it's not enough to lay down $60, I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, I'm actually the kind of player that if I'm paying $60 for a game at release, I'm planning on playing that game right then and there, because otherwise there's no point in spending $60 in a game that's just going to sit on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
That when I do have time for it to play it, I could have just spent like $40, $60 for, or $40, $20 by the time like it came out, or by the time I actually had time to play it. That, or if I think that a physical version of a game might become rare,
Mm-hmm.
that tends to just kind of happen if they're kind of oddball games. I actually this winter, now that I got a PlayStation 4, I tried to find a what was it, Digimon World Next Order.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan of the series, and I know I saw it at a few times at Best Buy. I went to Best Buy, all of them gone. I went Target, and like I know I saw it at Target before, gone. They were all gone. I didn't manage to find a copy online, but I'm like, oof. Like I could have bought it digital, but for one the digital is still $60, but the physical version, even online, is $20.
Weird.
So that's another thing I don't understand, is the disparity between digital versions and physical copies. I guess that's the advantage of not needing a physical place to store all of this physical media, taking up space or taking up shelf where you could be selling something more hot and popular. You can still charge for whatever for it, because it's not taking up space.
But that's the thing. The promise of digital, one of the promises that was implied, or even sometimes outright said, that digital storefronts were going to lead to the lowering of the price of games. Then they said, well, we're still selling them at $60 because we have to match the price of retail. But the fact of the matter is, when you have retail, because ironically it costs more to bring that game to the shelf, it tends to have a shorter shelf life. While in digital, it varies from game to game. If the game is constantly being played, it's more likely to be still hot or hotter on digital. Although I seen them in retail situations where games, some games stay at $40, $50, something like that.
Skyrim actually stayed. Skyrim Vanilla stayed at $60 a year after it came out.
But that was a game that kept selling, right?
Yep.
So that's really the thing. But even on the other hand, so it's not tied to the cost of the cost of the distribution, manufacturing distribution, that we think, it's not really tied to that. It's tied to how, quote unquote, hot the game is, and which platform it's hot, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the thing is too is that retailers are starting to sell digital only games as those pre-bought cards.
Mm-hmm.
You essentially pay 30 or whatever the price is on either Xbox Live, PlayStation Network. You just buy it there at the store, and then you just punch in the code, and ta-da, there you go. even though you could have just done that at home anyways.
Yeah, which kind of defeats the purpose of going to the store in the first place.
Yeah, but there's shelves of those now of like game of just digital only games.
Yeah, which is, I mean, the reason, well, again, digital distribution being what it is like, okay, I'm gonna hold this not so good game right here, Fable 3. But this I bought, it's a physical copy. Imagine if I bought this as a physical copy today, a brand new game. I have to go to my console, put it in, like say an Xbox One X or PlayStation 4 S or whatever. Boom, I put it in. What's the first thing that's going to happen? It's going to ask me for updates, for installation and updates, which it could take, especially in a console, which tend to have somewhat slower hardware, could take a couple of hours instead of minutes. So the benefit of going to the store, putting a disc, and playing, plug and play is no longer a thing.
Yeah, I actually plugged in. I got a copy of a brand new copy of Titanfall 2 on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of popped it in just to check it out a little. I got hit with a 13 gig patch. 13 gigs. Like that was ridiculous.
And it takes forever to download, especially on using Sony PlayStation system or Xbox.
PlayStation, the PlayStation 4 speeds are way better than the PlayStation 3s, but even then it took a couple hours.
Yeah, which kind of defeats the purpose of pre-ordering. Now you have, now a couple of years ago you have preloading, which is just ridiculous because again you have to download patches and stuff like that. And it's like, you can preload your game 5 days in advance. You know what preloading is? Is you giving the publisher permission to muck around with your machine. Basically, what they're doing is putting a gate. They're saying, okay, you can't play this game until we tell you to. That's it. And that's when they lift the gate for you to activate the game in order to download the day one patch or even day zero patch, which might not be enough to make the game playable anyway. I still have a bunch of glitches and we talk about Bethesda, we talk about BioWare, we talked about other Ubisoft, right? Capcom, other companies. The idea of the unfinished game. So it's like, even well-known games when they get ported over, like PUBG, it got updated, but when it came out for Xbox, and Microsoft paid quite a bit of money to make sure it went into the Xbox, it was a load of trash. Ever so briefly, but it was a load of trash. Like, oh, I want to get into the PUBG thing, but I don't have a PC. I have an Xbox. I pre-ordered this, and I just took and it just happens, It's so I think it's. I don't know. I think what's going to happen is that you're going to see mostly these stores are going to just drop the whole distribution thing, like the big chains, where you're going to have basically going to be small stores that are for, collectors and stuff like that. They're the ones who are going to have them. And basically what's going to happen if you go to the store, they're just going to have, you can already do this many stores. They're going to have a dump terminal. Go like, okay, you're here in the store. It's going to be a showcase model, right? It's going to be the shelf models like, oh, you can pick up the box so it has all the information so you can read it, right? It's like, oh, it runs on this and that and has some nice graphics, but they're not going to sell you that because it's not for sale. It's like, the TV at the front, not for sale. It's like, oh, we have that dump terminal over there. You can order whatever, or you can pick up your phone and go to the website and order from there or whatever, right? And do it through our website, and that's it. It's going to be, stores are going to be, at least for the big stores, are going to be showcases for hardware, because always, physical stuff they can sell. And it's going to be showcases for the software, but they're not going to actually sell you the games at all. I don't think they're going to stop selling you like cards and stuff like that, because that doesn't eventually make any sense. That's going to be a place where you can go and order, right?
Yeah.
If you're shopping around, you're in the mall, whatever. It's like, oh, let's go to Best Buy, and you get the impulse to buy. Then they're going to sell you the software, but that's going to be it. Actual
Yeah,
copies are going to be things for collector's editions.
yeah, and actually that's something I've seen a lot in like Target.
Mm-hmm.
Target, their console section is just like 10 times, 100 times larger than PC. PC is just this tiny little section where you'll just have like the really big name games and that's it. And sometimes it's mostly Walmart that does this, but they'll sell like little shovelware games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's about it for PC. Most like the thing that takes up the most space in retails are the console games. So I'm wondering when that'll happen that they'll move to just either just selling it online or even just kind of limiting their stock even further.
I mean, it already happened. I mean, you mentioned PC, but that's the stuff that's been it happened about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Because you
Yeah.
used to go. That's one of the things that many stores like Babbage's and stuff like that, which were huge, closed down because most of the stuff they would sell was almost all PC. Like finding console games in those stores because consoles were thought to be more like an accessory that you would buy for your TV. So you're more likely to find the console in your Sears, in your Pennies, in your Targets, in your WalMarts. TVs here, video game consoles here, right? That tradition. PC gaming was more specialized. But when PC gaming shifted, some stores like GameSpot, the same thing happened. They will have like a little freestanding rack with half a dozen PC games and mostly MMOs, and then they'll have huge racks of that. I think what's gonna happen, and I seen this in Walgreens and stuff like that. I see a lot of places they're gonna just sell cards like for Steam, and like $20, $50, $100 for Xbox, and you're gonna already do that for Xbox Live. I never seen it. I think I seen them for Sony, for the Sony network, and I seen them for Steam. Probably
Yeah,
GOG
they
probably get
sell
into it as well. You just
yeah,
buy the card. It's like
yeah,
$50. That's it.
they sell those at gas stations now
Yeah.
too.
So get the card and a little, you know, uh, cardboard thing that has you just you know take a coin or something and just you know
Scratch it off.
scratch it off. Yeah, I was gonna Spanish word and an English word, and that's it. That's you can you can a box of those things could have like 1,000 cards or 10,000 cards, right? It's so cheap that in distribution wise, you don't have to put any boxes. Like, oh, I want to buy something from my Xbox. Okay, there's a rack with the cards that for Xbox. Have different prices: $5, $10, $50. I imagine they're probably gonna do, and I've seen some stores doing this as well. Do the vanilla Visa thing where you can
Mm.
have a card and you put as much money as you want to. I mean, you already have Steam Wallet and GOG has Wallet, but you just put money in there. Might as well just have it in a card, right? You buy the card for Steam or Blizzard or whatever. And now Blizzard Activision means everybody. I imagine that they're probably going to do this as well. And it's a good way of doing it, especially for places where the tendency is to always have physical copies sell very well, mostly with slow internet and stuff like that. Because then you have people that have the money and it's like, well, yeah, my internet might be slower, it might take more longer to download this stuff, but I already paid for this and I got $50, so might as well, right? It's a way of overcoming that, right? That hurdle. Because places like Australia, for example, has crappy internet, and other places around the world, it's still much better to buy a physical copy, or it would
Yeah.
be if you didn't have to then download all the crap that came with it, right? So just get cards, right? That would be the thing. It's like, oh, you go to GameSpot has cards. You're gonna buy GameSpot cards. So it's like, oh, I want to go to Walmart or whatever. And there's a Walmart card for games, or a GameSpot card for games, or a Steam card for games, and it's gonna be like a single rack, and that's it. And then combined with the few games they want to do with the pre-order bonuses, they'll have the. In fact, they might have it like a plastic display of the pre-order bonus. That might not be being smarter. Like, oh, it's a flamethrower. So there's a display of a plastic flamethrower. If you want to buy this is the plastic representation, a metal representation of what you can get in game. That sounds smarter than what they're doing right now. But this stuff takes time. That's what it is. It's just the industry sort of catching up and adjusting for these things.
Yeah, I remember a few years back, Target had like this large horizontal, actually no, horizontal be laying down, vertical like screen, and it would just have like a sort of a display of games, and then you could like it's a touch screen, so you could browse like their online store, and it's like, oh, look at all these other games that you might not find here at the store, but you could buy it, you could order it online and have it shipped here, have it picked up. They kind of tried that, but I assumed it didn't work out very well because I don't see those monitors anymore.
Yeah, I think the only people that are still will benefit for a while for physical copies are like the red boxes,
Yeah.
which they rent a lot of games as well, right? And I would say that that might be an alternative to demoing, right? That you might have an agreement, Electronic Arts with Redbox, something like that. Oh, we're gonna give you our game, and we're gonna call it Special Redbox Edition, where you can get, play the game for 5 hours or something. And if you really want to, then there's pre-order bonus, or there's 5% off or whatever for getting the actual game digital copy from it, right? Like a shareware, in a way, like a modern version of shareware. You get the copy from Redbox, put it on your machine. After 5 hours, oh, I like this game. Okay, if you like to order, just order to Steam or Origin or whatever. And probably also has, if you're playing on PC, well, they don't do PC games, at least in the red boxes that I've seen, but that's probably another way of doing it. It's all about getting you to get to that digital distribution. And a very lonely dog.
Yeah, my Mexican hairless is really whiny for some reason. He's right here. I'm not sure why he's whining. Not paying enough attention to him, I guess. Or maybe he wants me to stop talking about video games. Oh no, but I'm someone who just likes to collect hard copies of video games, especially if it's a game I particularly like. There's just something about having the physical copy, having the box artwork that I find intriguing. Especially if you brought up what happens if decide to shut down servers. There goes most of my digital. There goes all of my digital collection.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but of course they're charging more for those. Technically speaking, usually they don't. Actually, you don't even get a disc. What you get is the feelies. You get maps and you get props and stuff like that. That's the digital deluxe editions, right? They're like, oh well, we'll sell you a physical copy, but whoops, there goes the cat.
Yeah.
And but we'll charge you more. Like these are physical things. Like digital is cheaper, even though you're still paying $6, right? It's the movie. These are marketing tricks, right? So for people like you, oh yeah, we'll sell you the physical copy, but you got to pony up $100 for the plastic tat or something, right? And maybe you can. You probably will get a physical copy that has like a cardboard version of the disc or something. Like it has a disc in a jewel case, and it's cardboard or something with a code.
Or maybe like a Mighty Number 9 box with a manual that doesn't fit.
Yeah. Or they might do like the unboxing videos where they give a huge box, right, of stuff, and it's just a lot of packing peanuts and maybe a jewel case or something. I mean, I don't think they're gonna completely disappear, but it's gonna be I want to call it a limited market.
Yeah, niche market. Well, we got like limited run games. Usually prints does physical copies of a lot of indie games that are on PlayStation 4 and Vita. They'll make physical copies and disc in the game too, or the cartridge in the Vita's case.
Mm-hmm. I think 2064 did that.
They did.
Yeah, they did that. It's like way digital they were doing Steam, and it's like, oh, well, this game's so popular, then we're gonna have a physical copy of this, right?
Yeah, then they limit those runs to a couple thousand, and they tend to sell out. It looks like the site has very little copies of certain games.
Yeah,
most of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, most of them just sell out within hours.
They might even bundle them like they used to bundle the old Atari cartridges with Atari comic books and stuff like that. Again, just to get you to pay that extra extra money, or get you another copy and buy another copy.
Yeah, and they're usually $10-$20 more than what the base digital version is of these games
Mm-hmm.
cost. But hey, if there's a market for it and it's a limited, and in that case it's a very limited and exclusive run,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's acceptable there.
But going back to something I said earlier, the promise was that digital distribution was going to be cheaper. So what
Yeah.
they've done is that the digital distribution hasn't made things cheaper. What they they raised the price of the physical distributed product. That is not the
Yeah.
actual cost. It's just they just say, oh well, digital must be cheaper because if you buy it physically, we're going to charge you 20 extra, $40 extra, as opposed to actually the digital copy being cheaper by virtue of not them spending as much money to get it to your hands.
Yeah.
Another bait and switch, a huge bait and switch.
Hmm. Well, then I'm pretty sure you're not taking a jab at like limited games though. Like they're sort of like, these are limited games that would never get physical releases.
No, I mean
Because yeah. But
that's it.
I'm talking about, like, you're probably meaning more towards like AAA industries where they mass produce these games, and it probably costs them what, maybe $5 for the entire package.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not taking a jab specifically. I mean, if you are from the get go saying I'm a digital distributor, and the game becomes popular, and there's a small group of people said we want a physical copy, that's one thing. But most of the time, when you look at the deluxe editions and all that, many of them come with feelies. They're saying you actually a
Oh
physical
yeah.
thing. So what they're doing is that we're saying the promise used to be that we save a lot of money by not having to create a disc and load it and package it and put it in a truck or ship whatever and send it to wherever I have to go and localize it and do all the things that have to be done, right? And the advertising, we have to, sell cardboard boxes and cutouts and banners and all the things that go with physical distribution. Okay, fairly enough. That costs money. We're no longer going to do that with digital distribution. Ergo, it's going to be cheaper. But the prices haven't changed. We're still at the $60 price range. So it's like, oh, the prices haven't changed, but the fact is that it's cheaper to get that product to the hands of consumers because there's not that logistical train and advertising train that goes with it. But now they're selling you deluxe editions that have a physical component, whether it's a game or not.
Yeah.
And they're selling you those for more money. Why?
Yeah. Oh, I
because the distribution of the physical good is more expensive. But the actual price doesn't change.
Yeah.
So it was a lie. It's a lie that digital distribution was going to be cheaper, at least from a AAA game perspective. It's also a lie that games, that the price hasn't changed. No, it has changed because it's cheaper for them to sell you the same game. So they're making more money out of the $60 game. And they cut that the distributor, well, that varies. I think Steam does like a 30% or something like that, depending on their arrangements. But it usually actually get like 80 to 90% cut. Like I think GameStop would only get like $5 for every brand new game, but they would get most of the money out of a used game. So I mean, again, it's
and of course you bring up the fact, like, say a copy of Mass Effect Andromeda Deluxe Edition versus a regular standard edition, $60 for the one, but what, $80 for the other one. But it doesn't come with anything extra in the box. There's nothing else extra physical about it other than slightly different cover art that doesn't come, but that's not going to cost extra. And there's nothing in there other than a little digital code that says, oh, here's your digital content. That'll be $20 for content that you don't physically have other than this little piece of paper.
Which brings me back to the pre-order bonuses and the microtransactions and all that. Those are virtual goods that are being sold as if they were physical. Again, this is more, and therefore we're going to charge you more, but they're tied to the purely digital aspect of this. So even if you say like limited editions you were talking about, you get something, you get a map, you
Yeah.
get whatever, right? You get to collect that. But in many of these cases, you don't even get that because the
Yeah.
pre-order bonus is a gun, and as long as if the game is a success and it's lived as a long life online, then that gun works. But the moment the online is off, they don't support the game anymore, and there's a good chance that you won't get that gun anymore, or the game for that matter to work because of
Hmm.
DRM and stuff like that we talked about last week as well. It's getting complicated, and the only winners are the AAA distributors, publishers.
So yeah, I so if you guys want like your physical copies before like the infrastructure of the internet collapses,
Mm-hmm.
bargain bins,
Yeah.
snatch up while you can. It's
Yeah.
sad because I laugh with my boyfriend that there's this copy. I see a lot of copies of some sort of Animal Crossing game for the Wii U
Mm-hmm.
that's bundled with two amiibos in there. So amiibos are probably like at least like $9 each. This I've seen this game go down in price down to $10, and now it's at like $5.98. They can't get rid of these poor games even with the two amiibos in there.
Hmm.
Ugh.
But maybe if I don't know that stuff like Amiibos and Skylanders and stuff like that, they temporarily bring back the sort of physical angle to this, but they're not guaranteed to be a continuous success because they're
No.
toys. And once the thing about the toy, like, oh, we don't like to do Skylanders anymore, then well, nobody cares. And
Yeah, or in the case of like Disney Infinity, they killed that game. The online component gone.
hmm.
Just you got the toys, but the toys are pretty much worthless now because they have no they don't have their set value as to what they were meant to do aside from just being a little action figure. So unless you really like that one action figure, they're not going to sell.
It reminds me of a show of the 1980s, of a very short-lived show called Captain Powers and the Soldiers of the Future. When it came out, it was the first era of paint guns and laser tag. And the thing about this was it basically was a laser tag style game, but it was supposed to be interactive with your television. You would get this ship. It was a gun in the shape of a ship, like a fighter, sci-fi fighter.
Oh wow.
And you could put there were little figures. You could put action figures in it, and at least one action figure, and there were other collections as well. And the thing was that when the show played, you could shoot at the screen at certain boxes that the enemies would have, and the toy was supposed to also read the laser blasts from the television,
Yeah.
so it would be interactive. It didn't quite work as well because it was also kind of the aspect of it was also was like laser tag, so other people would have
Yeah.
this chess pieces and you can play with other people. But it was very clumsy for actual laser tag. You just get actual laser tag gun and play with it much lighter, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse light gun.
Yeah, and the thing about it was that it was very popular in that Christmas because of the show, and then by the show didn't last less than a season for kids, right? These things
Yeah.
come and go, and that's it. You got stuck with this laser light gun thing that was pretty awkward to do because it was this entire ship thing, piece of plastic, right? Like I'm sure collectors love it, but
Yeah.
it was so tied to this very ephemeral thing, which was a television show, that
Yeah. I'm looking at screenshots. This was nothing what I was expecting. I just from the title alone, I thought you were talking about like this really low budget cartoon or something. Oh my god.
it's
This looks like
it's low budget live
yeah,
action. It was
live action sci-fi.
with tons of CGI for the night for 1980s. Very boxy robots things that there were basically two robots that would show up. One was like a pterodactyl, and the other one was like a tank, like a robot with tank legs, and the big bad guys. that couldn't you could defeat them, but you couldn't really destroy them because it would reassemble themselves and heal whatever. They were AI. It was this war against. It was a war against the AI of the future because the robots are taking over the planet after World War III. And one of the main writers was the writers of Babylon 5, right? It had some serious undertones within being a kid show, but that was it, right? So,
Oh my god, this looks like it's either campy in a good way or campy in a bad way.
well, for when I was a kid, when I was back in the day, it was campy for a good way. It was like very exciting and robots. And going back, I'd probably go like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna. No, I mean, remember some aspects that were kind of serious. Like, these were the last soldiers fighting this great war, but that kind of enhances the campiness because it took itself too seriously. Like
Yeah.
the Captain Power would he would do like shots like over the shoulder, and because he had an AI in his battle armor, it's like, oh, enemy to your left, and he goes like, he wouldn't even look, he would just shoot and kill the guy, right? They were supposed to be robots or cyborgs, so you actually don't kill people on American television, at least for kids anyway. So that was the thing, but it kind of reminds me of that, right? That was great and hot in the moment, and then it's not like I don't know Transformers or GI Joe where you just like I keep the toys and can play by myself, right?
Yeah.
This was so tied to the television show that when the television show ended, which ended I think like 10 episodes or 8 to 10 episodes, and it had many episodes, even for American television, it was done. You were done. That's it.
Oh wow, yeah, the CGI is bad, but probably pretty good for the decade.
Yeah, well, it was okay for the decade. I mean, it probably made the show very expensive. I think it was a
Yeah.
Hasbro or Mattel property, so they had the money to spend on that. So
But it almost looks like on par for Beast Wars, and if that was in the 80s, then that's pretty good.
yeah, so yeah, we come to the end of the show. It's already 10 o'clock. So, Shabon, as always, can you tell us where we can find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at Chopomon pretty much everywhere. I'm Chopomon_Aragon on Twitch and Twitter.
And you can find me on Twitch and on YouTube under Lessons Learned and Lessons Learned 1, respectively. As always, if you like this or any video or show on our channels, please comment and subscribe, and we will see you when we see you.